INTZ now back on the blue side. Blue side has so far been 100% successful, and we'll see whether it continues to do so, which will bode well for INTZ. Looks like the ban's staying relatively similar, although no Elise ban just yet, and Vladimir ban second on the side of Dark Passage. We'll see whether INTZ take that one away. No, it's not. It's going to be the Shen that leaves the Rift. So a different first pick option here for INTZ.
Yeah, really interesting to see. They knew how strong Kirei's Nidalee pick was, so they decided, you know what, he has such a large pool, regardless of how well it worked for Elwin in the group stage, that he can get the solid 2v2 and really look to split push consistently. This time they just actually let it open and take the Shen out completely, so team fighting might be a question in whether Dark Passage look to go towards that once again.
Well, looks like the Elise being considered for that first pick, taking it away from Kirei, but also mixing it up here for Revolta gives him a different option.
I don't necessarily agree with this. I don't think Elise is that large of a pressure. It's gotten to a point where Kirei can honestly play any champion effectively. Maybe they're just really afraid of the style itself, but Dark Passage last game just showed that they're not really looking to commit back to that style.
Yeah, they were making a lot of good picks in the last game, so I can understand getting away from a pick composition so easily for Dark Passage is a good idea. However, now Dark Passage considering what they want to grab, and Kirei, of course, pretty understandably looking at the Rek'Sai.
I think they need to start looking to counter-pick jungle, because at this point in time, they picked the Elise simply because they don't want to find themselves in a poor matchup once again. But Elise does have poor matchups. Once you do Rek'Sai against Elise, we saw Rek'Sai get hovered just a little bit, but if Dark Passage do go towards that Rek'Sai, if he can get the Tiamat, if he does get farming quite a bit, then Elise, if her early pressure doesn't go through, then she is going to suffer in those small skirmishes.
Oh, Dark Passage just lock away their bottom lane, theoretically, unless Elwind wants to pick up that Trundle once again. But the bottom lane did work out very well last game.
One thing I will point out, however, is all of a sudden it's very hard to walk into Revolta's jungle. What was like an easy task last game for the Nidalee due to mobility, if you ever do get stunned up and they have any form of CC in the mid lane, the rotation can come there as well, and it's not a committal rotation. I mean, you can take the cocoon or you cannot take the cocoon, but it's much easier to throw people out of the jungle as an Elise as opposed to a Gragas.
Yeah.
So I think it might be, you know, very comfortable on the pick, but also recognizing that they have to be able to control their side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. But it might just end up changing their style in general. They do not want to look to team fight with Elise. That would just not be a beneficial point. They might just look towards perhaps a pick comp, Rex poke. Not really sure at this point in time.
Well, looks like the top lane once again going to be Echo for Yang. 3 games in a row now as Karma has been locked in by Talkers. Could be mid, could be support. We'll see exactly where it's going to go, but a lot of mobility already added to this composition with both of those champions.
Yeah, mobility and also lane strength. Getting the Karma pick really does mean that the Trundle goes towards that. If it's a support Trundle, the lane's not going to be looking good for Dark Passage, but Dark Passage have looked to outplay that time and time again. So perhaps INTZ then decide to either go towards... you know what? I feel like they'll just go Ashe here.
Yeah.
Ashe and Karma is, once again, a strong lane. You can't really look to mess that up.
Incredible pick potential as well, right?
Exactly. So now you have Elise on top of that. So Elise, Ashe, solid. And they might just round it out with perhaps an Elzahar.
The reason that I like Karma as well on top of that is the fact that Karma Ezreal is one of the few Ezreal lanes that actually can shove out and gives him a lot of tools to be aggressive in the laning phase. Now that's not going to be the case. You can see falling back on a Braum. Once again, would have preferred a Tahm Kench. I think the Tahm Kench is just better Braum at this stage, but you know, it's a very similar feel to their Game 1 composition.
Yeah. Whereas, if they actually picked up something like a Varus last pick, then that would be exactly the same as their Game 2 composition, which would make some sense. See whether INTZ can do battle with it effectively, especially now considering the fact that they get to look at whatever Varus would be going into.
Yeah, exactly. They would probably be fairly comfortable if they do want to go towards that QSS. Brazilian fans are really behind their team right there.
Oh yeah, well they need to be right now. I mean, that last game was not one that looked good for INTZ. The first game very, very close and up to the wire throughout.
Ooh. Yeah, one big thing to point out since we're looking at the Alistar hover is that this Karma is a flex pick, so could really help out the rest of the team, get that shove in mid, but of course it's blind pick.
I really don't like this. They have no damage on their lineup right now. I mean, Karma, Elise, as the game progresses, are really going to struggle to blow anyone up. I mean, they have good control in the early stages of the game. They really have picked for an early composition. But all of a sudden, you know, Jockster on an engaged support like Alistar, it's going to be harder to win the laning phase from here. And as the game progresses, especially the fact that, you know, Trundle's going to be running around Summoner's Rift, all of a sudden it's really hard to kill that dude.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like right now they've decided to go towards kite back a little bit more rather than hard engage. If they ever hard engage with Alistar at this point, Ashe will just get blown up by anybody at this point. So interesting composition to go for. Does have a lot of early engage power, so they really have to open up the map a little bit quicker. If they go back towards their 6-minute lane swap, that could be a point to really help them out. But of course, Dark Passage at this point in the time, they recognize that's a possibility.
Yep, just go to exactly the same composition, minus the Shen, plus the Braum, and switch up the position of the Trundle. See whether it works out with Elwind on the Trundle this time around, as opposed to the Shen offering that sort of permanent split push pressure with the ultimate always able to come down.
Yeah, they have to be able to pick on COSQ this game. If they don't, you know, so much magic damage coming through, so much reliant on Macau outputting tons of late game damage. You know, they need to look for picks. They need to be able to get their lanes snowballing in their advantage and be able to freely move around the map here, INTZ, if they're going to be successful. However, this is one of those fine games of execution. We said it about last game. Now there's more win conditions because there is a top lane Trundle for the split pushing that's going to be able to match the Echo and things like that. But really, Dark Passage, they've shown that it can work once, and now INTZ need to prove they have an answer.
Yeah, and on top of that, something to really look towards Dark Passage's composition is that their early game, I mean, before they were going up on an uphill battle and actually coming ahead in the early game, this time they actually just outright have better lanes. Mid lane's going to be working out very well for Varus. Top lane, even though it's a back and forth, Trundle is going to look to out-trade in general, even though he's going to get out-pushed early. And then bottom lane, you have Braum and Ezreal versus Ashe and Alistar. That should be in Zeit, not in Rogu's court. The trade should be fine. Of course, Ashe is going to shove in early, but after the early shove-in should be fairly good for Dark Passage.
Yeah, they need to control vision. Dark Passage did a really good job of wrestling vision back in game number 2. In fact, that they were really impressive. This game, INTZ can't afford to let it happen. If they don't have vision, they don't have control.
Well, we'll see whether they can gain it as we are onto the Rift for game number 3. INTZ back on the blue. Dark Passage back on the red. And we'll see whether this one's going to be as close as game 1, or whether once again Dark Passage can make the poke composition work, because this Ezreal Varus looked very, very good out of this team game 2. INTZ looking to try and get their way back in with this Ashe pickup once again for Macau. He looked great in game 1. Now seeing whether he can have a repeat performance, but it could possibly be difficult because, like you guys already addressed, already Dark Passage looking like this composition, especially in the laning phase, will have a better time.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot more options. I talked about INTZ level 1s quite a bit. Definitely don't want to walk into a Braum's jungle. Not a good idea. So it's going to be a lot more passive for them.
Especially not Braum Ezreal. They're probably the 2 of the best level 1 champions in the game. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah.
Yep. First dragon going to be that Ocean Drake. Thank you very much, Observer, for letting us know. INTZ, yep, like you just said. Playing it very cool, calm and collected. Curate setting up his Krug camp, then goes back down just to make sure he knows what's going on.
Yang goes towards Fervor of Battle this time. Didn't like the grass last time. Felt like he could have won that level 2 all-in if he had the Fervor Raz.
Zeit not doing the same thing, not going for Warlord's Bloodlust this time.
Yeah, Zeit not actually just went for Fervor. No, the last time he went for Warlord's Bloodlust. This time he actually decided to go towards Fervor, which is a good call for him. So, return of the Fervor of Battle.
As the Turkish fans wake up, looks like they're all getting in the vote on Twitter. They have managed to claw themselves back in favor, 68% now.
I want to talk about something a little. Revolta started bottom side jungle because he wants to be able to gank top lane, it looks like. I mean, I think that's why the Fervor of Battle is coming. They actually want to snowball Yang this time around. However, he is jungling so much slower than Corey. Corey has cleaned up a 3rd camp, although he missed a little one, it looks like. And he's going to be punished for that in the long run. Dignitas, Raz, that's what that is right there. But it just put him at such a tempo disadvantage here.
Nice step up hold. Macau using the Q, gets a bit of damage down. Half health now on the Zydnut.
You know, if you counter jungle yourself, that just means that Elise not going to be able to get much.
Opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
But this is literally 4 camps to 3. It's actually 5 now. It's 5 camps to 3. He's 2 camps ahead, which is a huge, huge lead for the Nidalee.
Kure now actually moving back around. Will de-counter jungle himself, if that's the term. Not sure whether it is.
It's the long con Atlas, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually left the whole camp.
Okay. I trusted you.
I didn't trust him at all.
Well, Yang and Owen still doing battle. Yang does have the push, like you guys were talking about. We'll see whether Kure can capitalize on it. Primal Surge comes in, good ward. He's going to spot him out as Yang can at least dash his way out.
This is overall really good from Kure. He's showing a lot of presence here, even though the gank's not working in his favor. That just means that he's recognized that Elise is not on the side of the map. So Elise is not going to be able to pressure out a matchup that they're trying to get going for them. But of course, he's going to get chipped down.
Yeah, discovered there. Good round of damage. Z-Drive Resonance working out for Yang.
But Kure's done his job. I mean, he goes top lane. He ensures that no gank is going to come through. He actually freezes up a wave for the Trundle, so now Echo feels like he's overextending, just throwing Qs at the wave to try and shove it into turret. As I said, for what looked like Revolta wanting to play towards top lane priority has now fizzled. He's just done a full clear instead, so credit one more time to Kure, who's gone back, picked himself up an early track as he understands the importance of keeping eyes on Revolta this game, and ball's in Revolta's court now.
Yeah, this is going to be really awkward for Revolta at this point in the game. If he's not going to be able to really pressure out any map, really now, he has to look towards getting these dragons. Dragons will be, the Ocean Dragon's going to be really good. Once again, the actual RNG favor is in INTZ's court going up against the Pocomp. If they can get it going for them, then they do have, they have the picks for them. Unfortunately, they kind of rely on it.
Well, Jockster once again looking for the headbutt pole as the Pounce is going to get Kure well and truly out of trouble. Good snare onto Kozkio as Kozkio gets a good round of damage. Sacrifices a lot of mana.
They're actually trapped in the jungle now. I mean, Revolta coughs a spear. They don't decide to pull the trigger on it. It looked like Rogu had priority there with Kure, but they back away.
They probably didn't want to lose the wave coming into the tower. With that being said, probably would have been a worthwhile pick.
Nidalee Braum is just so good together because, you know, the continual slow, the ability for Nidalee to just stay in range form, be able to chunk you out.
That's why I really love the comps that we've been coming through. Once again, Trundle, Braum, Ezreal's going to initially, later on, going to be getting that Iceborne Gauntlet. It's not going to be up to chance whether or not the spears do land. They're barely secured.
Yang should be winning this trade at the moment. I mean, the shop has already come through for him. He's sitting on double rings as well as his full corrupting potion. Kure is top side of the map. Revolta actually looking to play bottom.
Pings are coming in. They're actually looking for a potential dive.
They're nowhere near low. That would be a foolish pick to go and dive this lane.
You say that now. But the spider.
Okay, here we go.
Double teleport, potentially.
Yeah, they're looking for it as there's a cocoon landing onto Rogu. He's going to explode. The exhaust goes down. He's not dead just yet. As Macau trying to lock it up. It is going to be Revolta grabbing first blood, and Zeitnot's going to fall. That's a double kill, and Revolta gets his revenge.
That is a huge play out of Revolta. Gets a deep ward, and I like the decision to empowered E there. It keeps him alive for long enough, gets a repel up, and is able to come back down. This looks like it's going to be first structure bonus going over to INTZ, and they finally have the early snowball.
Immediate explosion. I mean, that's 2,000 gold now in the lead.
Yeah, weird decision coming out of Iron from Dark Passage. TP not coming down from Elwyn. He decided to just shove up the lane. But, of course, that could have actually been dealt with properly. But Kure and Kozki were back in base.
And I think that even Dark Passage was expecting them to play towards topside. I mean, the Echo had already teleported back. You know that Yang doesn't like to lose lane. So I think that with the information available, I think that Kure actually made the right call to go in counter jungle the Wolves and really try and get eyes on Revolta. But Revolta just wasn't on that side of the map, so that was really interesting. They even had me fooled. Like, I have access to the full mini-map. I had no idea what was going on.
Well, a cute little tactic. And there's the switch from Dark Passage. They want to dodge out of the way of that lane. Get themselves up, see whether they can take out that top outer turret. Kozki now moving towards the top side. We'll see whether they can have a similar performance now behind on this composition. We know that moving forward, they did look very good game 2. That could be where Coscu falls down because he likes to position aggressively, likes to take advantage of a lead. Doesn't necessarily like not having one, like he did in game number 1.
Can't find a person that would be happy in a deficit. But
you know, there's players that are better at it, is what I meant, I guess. But you're right. Happy is probably the wrong term.
Yeah, that's a good point that Coscu, if he does find himself in a deficit, he can look for points to come back in. Of course, Varus is not that champion. Varus is a champion that if you find yourself in a deficit, you're just going farther and farther down that drain.
INTZ continuing to push out here on this bottom side. Nothing that Trundle can do. Half health already done on this inner. And there's still no response from Dark Passage. The wave is going to die. They may need to make up their mind as far as what they want to do. As Coscu pushing this one up as far as he can.
Yeah, they're not even close down to chipping down that tower. There was a lot of indecisiveness on this point. Now they can, INTZ can take this tower, look to push out more, or even actually go for this dragon. I would really want INTZ to look for this dragon at this point. That would be a really
Nashor,
good
they're just going to shoot at Elwin's head.
Yeah, Macau's just going to move all the way around. Cute little ward does spot out his movements.
Not only did they give up that bot lane tower, they should well and surely have this dragon, but it feels like they're just going to
actually looks like they want mid lane turret. I mean, Coscu now in trouble.
Yeah, there's the dive as Coscu's going to get stunned forever. Uses the flash, gets himself out of the way, and the arrow slides through the turret. You're not going to land there either, but it looks like this tower should be falling down. Good piercing arrow damage as True Shot Barrage is going to help out. Snare doesn't land onto Kirei as he gets himself over the wall.
Surely Revolta had Cocoon up for that. Headbutt Pulverize coming out of Alistar could have locked him down.
Looked like he wanted to see which direction he flashed before he threw out a Cocoon. Wasn't able to lock him down, so they do actually just lose out on their turret. Not able to pick up much in response, although they do get a Summoner spell as well as a lot of damage onto Coscu's turret. But, you know, no dragon as you were mentioning. But yeah, I agree. That looked like it was going to be a free kill right there. Ash Arrow missed somehow.
Yeah. So I think they could have actually just locked him up with, of course, the Headbutt Pulve into at least Cocoon and then Ash Arrow, but it looked like they wanted to get the Ash Arrow off first. Maybe Revolta actually used Cocoon on camp, so a lot of options there. Could have got the free kill, but otherwise, regardless, they went for the pick. It was a good call. Didn't work out well for them, but now Coscu is under a lot of pressure.
Well, still ahead in farm at the moment as Tokus is making his way back to lane. Now has his Athene's Unholy Grail completed. There's 2 extra assists helping out. Coscu going to go back. We'll see what he can get. That is the Manamune completed. So early on, not too bad. 10-minute Manamune, not too bad. There's a 0-0-0 Varus.
Yeah, INTZ right now should just be abusing this bot lane. The fact that there is such a massive point towards the tower, I guess they don't even have to do that. They're just going to take the turret right on.
Yeah, so they actually just get a good recall timing in there. They're able to pick up the turret. Now it's, you know, 3 turrets to 1. They're going to be able to rotate towards the top side of the jungle as well. Get some priority there. And you can see that now the shoe's on the other foot for Kirei. There's nowhere he's able to go. Elwin's being forced off farm time and time again, so Kirei isn't able to farm his own jungle. Lots of little things this time going in INTZ's favor.
Topside vision now owned by INTZ. Looks like Dark Passage's strategy is to just move away from it completely. Zynon does land a cheeky Q onto Yang, but gets himself the shield from the parallel convergence.
Spawn made mention of this a little earlier, is that, of course, he keeps going for the Gragas pick on Revolta, and so now that he actually has the Elise pick going for him, that's the first pick Elise, they actually just wanted some pressure coming out of it, and he's been doing really well. 2 kills up on him, able even up in CS against the Nidalee, so now he's not going to be bullied as much as he has been throughout the tournament, honestly.
Yeah. Found it interesting as well, the fact that he's keeping up in farm on the Elise, when Elise is theoretically one of the junglers that spends most of the time ganking, you know, often falls behind in farm. Doing a fantastic job as now Tokka's caught out in the mid lane. Kirei gets flashed out of the way of as there's the snare. He's made it out just for now, and there's the arrow landing. Revolta lands the Cocoon and gets the execute. That is a 3-0 Elise. Meanwhile on the back line, yeah, that's a True Shot Barrage picking up the kill as Coscu now trying to cut this one out. There's the headbutt pole.
and Zeitnot finds his way over the wall. Rogu gets in there, good exhaust onto Zeitnot. As Revolta goes up into the air, he gets exhausted though, no mana on the Elise. He's trying to spider form out, he's still alive. Elwind gets in there, gets the shutdown. Zeitnot arcane shifts over the wall, and Yang grabs the kill with the ultimate. Rogu, he's going to fall down. The double kill for the Echo. He's looking for the triple as Elwin's getting destroyed. Slowed forever, and Macau grabs that one. 7-2 now in favor of INTZ, but that was scrappy.
The do-si-do from Zeitnot is not enough. He goes over the wall. He's going back. He's slipping and sliding, but he gets taken down. At the end of the day, that was a huge play out of INTZ. Great arrow out of Macau to, you know, punish and overcommit out of Correa, and now Yang and Revolta are both massive.
Yeah, exactly. At this point forward, you made mention, Max, of just pretty much the pressure, the amount of CS Elise is able to accrue. At this point forward, Curie would be lucky to be able to even get any access to his own farm. So, going forward, I guess, he's able to get the red buff simply because INTZ now have access to Rift Herald. But going forward, honestly, he's not going to have any time to be able to farm up his own jungle.
Because the big thing is that Elwin's been taking his jungle. He's been very often on the same side of the jungle as Elwin, who isn't able to grab these big waves because they're giving priorities to Zeitnot, which you can understand. You know, he's the AD carry, but just not going to allow him to farm up the way he was. This is a look at the gank one more time. Correa bursts him out, but Tokka's able to survive.
The invisible arrow through the wall.
And then huge play out of Revolta getting the stun. Zeitnot was able to pick up the kill with a true shot barrage, but Revolta chases through here. And really nice patient play out of the INTZ lineup. Great teleport comes in, able to zone away Zeitnot after some good body blocking out of Jockster. That means that, you know, Trundle has to flash in. The do-si-do happens, but Echo can unfortunately get back over that wall. Yeah. And then huge two-man headbutt pole cleans up the rest of the fight.
I mean, they took the fight. They had to commit to it. They were fairly behind. But, of course, the follow-up, and it's great for INTZ, the fact that they were able to converge on the play and actually make use of it, turn into a team fight in their favor. So now they're running away with this game.
Yeah, picking up the Dragon there as well. 3,000 gold in the lead, and now Ocean Drake under their belt. Sorcerer's Shoes completed as well there for Tokka's, and it's a Giant Spell Cloth Armor in the lead for Revolta as far as his build. This Elise is massive, and Trinity Force done for Yang. This is huge. For the first time, we can see a seriously considerable lead for INTZ at the start of one of these games in this best of 5.
And we'll see what the Elise actually builds towards, because, you know, Deadman Plate, definitely an option. Randuin's Omens also there, but there's not going to be much crit coming out of the lineup, so I'd love to see a Deadman's. But they're such a tanky lineup now that they've been accelerated. One more time, they were going to lack in damage as the game progressed, but now that they have this Karma, who is, you know, itemizing very support-esque with the Fiends, going to be able to get the big shields across everyone.
Cheeky engage.
Huge spear that I actually didn't see coming across and taking out Macau.
Yeah.
This is going to be really hard for Dark Passage to be able to win any of the team fights just because of how tanky the INTZ lineup's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. They really can tank any poke coming through, and on top of that, they were able to get the initial Ocean Dragon. So now that they can just heal up consistently, that means their setup is going to be that much more effective. Curie, he can get these poke coming through, but it's not going to really amount to anything until he actually has a substantial amount of damage built into him.
Now the siege is continuing towards the top side. The battle for vision as Revolta shoves down a pink ward this time. He can't sweep. Curie cannot enter this brush now, and Tokka's is going to move his way up. There's the dive. It's Jockster right underneath that turret. Rogu taken down low, throws down the ultimate. Nice knock up onto Macau. As now they have to tank this one up or leave. The minions have died. Nice defense from Dark Passage.
In the end of the day, Braum had to use his ulti, and so, sure, it's been disengaged. Now, INTZ can heal up and try once more.
Yeah, or they just disappear into Fog of War, you know, wait for the rotation. Eventually someone will cheat through the jungle where they shouldn't. They'll be able to get a pick. So, it's still good play from INTZ. They're just continuing to push the envelope, but not overcommitting, not looking to, you know, overdive and get punished for it. So, I like the idea behind the play. Execution could have been a little bit cleaner, probably should have been a kill, but in the end of the day, you know, the fact that they didn't get it, they still back away, pick up all that farm. Still a good news story.
Yeah, we saw Karma rotating towards the play, so they probably could have just waited for the Karma.
Yep.
It would have been a lot more effective. They could have chased through because of continuous shields coming from the champion, especially with the Athenes on the Holy Grail. That shield's going to be massive going forward. So next fight, well, at least in the incoming fight, should be a lot better.
Oh, now Jockster and Macau taking down a Gromp camp. So things calming for the moment. 3 turrets to 1, still in favor of INTZ. But at least Dark Passage have been able to slow this one down, find some normalcy once again.
But the worst thing here is we're seeing the goals seem pretty average. In fact, Ezreal has quite a bit of a small lead in terms of overall gold. But his goals, yeah, but his goals has been going straight towards mana because, of course, Varus and Ezreal have to commit towards their more mana builds. And so the fact that they're looking to scale up means that their mid game is that much more.
Great thing caught.
Yeah, big pick, but Chance is going to get himself out of the way. Could lose his red buff though. Fury doesn't like that. He likes to be the one that's stealing. Revolta is going to grab that one. Nice Winter's Bite as Tockers gets hit by the spear. Cosq's making his way through. Does have the ultimate available. Nice double hit as Jockster has been caught out of position. Chains of Corruption, they just didn't want it to spread and they had to give up their support.
Yeah, they completely left him. I mean, there was no teleport coming out of top lane there for Yang. You could see the Ashe was sticking in the top lane, so that's a pick going across for a red buff. If you're not going to commit to it, I don't think you should actually even go for the fight in the first place. And now Yang, you know, a little cheeky drive-by here from Corray. But they've all been spotted bottom lane now. They're picking top lane. This is a really bad play out of Dark Passage. They're going to have to give up another turret, it looks like.
Potentially, the poke's coming down.
I don't know why Karma didn't commit to that. Karma was halfway up the river, and that was a 2 versus 4. Because Yang would have been able to teleport there. There was really nothing that the Ezreal and the Braum were going to be able to do in regards to that, but they back away.
Might be nerves coming through this point, because at this point in the game, they have such a massive lead. They don't want to give it away, especially up against this composition, because sure, right now they're in a mid-game trough where they do need to wait and stall up. So they're just going to go for it.
Yeah, Arrow and Cocoon both land, and there's a headbutt pulverized. Rogu, not a lot he can do as he stands behind Zeitnot and then dies. True Shot Barrage gets a little bit of damage across, and there's the spear as well, but the teleport to make sure that INTZ can get themselves out in this 3-man unit. Yang gets out of there quite easily as Cosq does eventually turn up. 3 versus 4 now as Elwin's making his way in.
Yeah, he could have canceled the TP, but he wanted to actually commit to it so they can take this tower.
Yeah.
Waiting for this next wave might be a bit of an investment since it's so far and away, but if they can commit Talkers to come up to this lane, then they can take down this tower.
Yeah, 100%. And Talkers, you know, he has a shove advantage against the Trundle, so they're going to look to siege this one up. They only have 1 lane to play with because bottom wave is massive. They go.
Flash Cocoon looks for Cosq as he gets up into the air. Headbutt pulverized once again as Cosq's going to fall. INTZ have this pick composition working out exactly the way they want it to.
Yeah, they certainly do. Now Elwin has to commit to mid lane, and the push is well and truly on in the top lane. Once again, no wave clear up here, so this one should fall down.
Jockster's a cow possessed at the moment, getting himself right in the front line, and the tower, like you said, does fall down. See whether Elwin can get the one in the mid.
Yeah, they have to watch out here. Dark Passage, they have a lot of poke, but they can't win an impending team fight, so they have to stay away from Cocoon. Any pick potential really coming out of
There are a lot of people in these brushes.
They're waiting.
4 members just stuck around and waited for the return play as they did in game 1. Didn't work out for them this time. As you can see, Yag is sprinting towards the bottom lane. I said that there was a huge wave there. Top laners know these things.
Yes.
He is on his way.
Saw the mid lane as well, cleared that one out.
At this point, they've been through so many scrims, so many games, they can sense it. They don't even have to look at the mini-map. They're like, you know what?
Hey, I haven't been to that lane yet.
20 minions are about to crash this turret if I don't go there right now.
I like it. The sixth sense. It looks like Talkers is looking for his hat. Rabbidan's Deathcap to come in next. Has his rod and his stick. See whether he can complete that one soon. Of course, flat AP, very, very strong on the Karma. Gives you extra shield as well as extra damage. So looks like INTZ will be able to grab their 2nd Ocean Drake of the game, making sure that they never go low on health.
I'll tell you one
for
thing.
too long.
It doesn't matter that Oceania is not in the finals because we've been seeing a lot of Ocean Dragons here.
Hey.
That was the worst delivery I could have had for a
No,
joke.
that was beautiful. I mean, bad delivery of a bad joke is a really good way to do
I
it.
love the deadpan, you know, heartless, absolute heartless.
But regardless, yeah, Ocean Dragons coming through. Two Ocean Dragons up against a big composition, especially with the tanky lineup coming out of INTZ here. I mean, I harp on it the entire game, but this is making things a lot worse for Dark Passage as time goes on.
Volta lands the cocoon, was looking for Zeitnot. There's the arrow onto Rogu as well, as they just have CC coming out of everywhere. Revolta continues to try and chase this one out. Ultimate's going to miss. The arrow, sorry, the spear does as well. That was a lot of panic out of Rogu, I think.
Yeah, we didn't catch it because the camera wasn't on it, but a Curé spear did land on Mikau, so Mikau did get zoned off quite a bit, didn't want to commit to that. So they just back off completely. Good positioning off Curé to just stop that altogether.
Yeah, I'm glad that you told us about the spear landing onto Mikau as well, because the Ocean Drake had made sure that his health had basically already completely regened by the time we got to him.
Yeah, man. At this point, he just doesn't even need potions. They've actually committed quite a lot into refillable potions. Refillable potions on Ashe, Karma, Elise. I mean, she's had that since the beginning of the game, obviously, but in general, there's so much efficiency coming out of that. I don't have to go and buy 50 gold for just potions, especially now that you have two Ocean Dragons. At this point, there's so much innate sustain coming from you that you can play a lot smarter around your backs.
Well, smart play is what INTZ have been good at. Playing it out much better this time around as Curate just joins in on that volatile spiderling explosion.
They're doing a really good job this time of protecting their pink wards and making sure that, you know, they're continually probing into Dark Passage's jungle and looking for these picks.
You mentioned the Deadman plate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really shining through. If he gets the Deadman plate, obviously the passive on it.
The momentum proc.
He's going fast.
And on top of the Karma's shield, she's just zooming in for a pick. You can't stop that woman.
Yep.
Top speed.
Fast spiders. Very scary prospect.
It also just puts a lot of pressure on Curé to be able to land poke before it goes in, because, you know, the armor isn't incidental at this point of the game. Very little armor penetration being picked up. So it's one of those things that, you know, CosQ has itemized pretty heavily towards it now that he's just picked up a Last Whisper. But before that was just flat pen. So, you know, the more little incremental advantages they can get like that, better off they're going to be. And because he went for the Last Whisper, not going to have access to something like a Maw, which could come back to bite him, because, you know, Yang's going to do a lot of magic damage, as is Revolta and Tok is.
Yeah, Yang at this point, 3-0-1, he's going to be a beast. Not only is he going to be able to stick to the back line, but he's going to have such zone control, able to just negate Curé, CosQ, and Zeitnot's pressure that Elwind and Rogu should just die from Mikau and Revolta alone.
But they're continuing to poke them off this line. Mikau now in a little bit of trouble.
Doesn't get hit by that spear, that is a big deal. Yang makes himself known towards the bottom side as Elwind. He'll take a fair bit of damage from this Echo right now. The 3-0-1 certainly helping out as he grabs himself the extra shield. And Elwind trying to fight this one out. Of course, does still have the ultimate. Yang knows this. He understands that he can't necessarily win the fight if that one goes down. And there it is, Subjugate used. The turret is going to fall down in the mid lane in the meantime, so Dark Passage getting one back.
The difference between Echo and Trundle here is that Echo is much more cooldown reliant, where he just trades based off of his passive proc and the rest of his cooldowns on top of that. Trundle will just auto you. So he's just going in and out, doesn't really have to commit when his cooldowns are down.
And now they can look for another play. I mean, that's going to be, you know, it's halfway off cooldown, but they can look for vision around the Dragon. They can look towards maybe Baron because they have good priority in the bottom lane now. Pretty much ball once again in INTZ's court. You can see Tokka's warming up his hands a little bit. Obviously, we're about to get busy. But it's one of those things
farming
where
minions on the top
he
side.
had to use absolutely nothing there to guarantee an ultimate out of the Trundle, just because, you know, the fact that he was able to pick up that Rift Herald buff at the start of the game. So Yang is doing a much better job of capitalizing on the fact that he is strong.
Yeah, and he really does have a lot to work with that inner tower being taken down so early in this game. He can just chase down Trundle forever, which is a great point to really go towards, because that means that Elwin does have to run quite a bit away if he wants to commit to a TP. So Dark Passage have to watch out, where if the lane is not in Elwin's favor, he cannot commit to a TP fight.
And once again, INTZ actually trying to get vision towards his top side. They clear it all out as well. So now it looks like the siege is on the mid lane. Yang just, I believe, grabbed himself a blue buff. Full vision, mind you, of DP, of INTZ.
Mikau keeps getting chipped down a bit from poke, either from Varus or from Nidalee, but it just doesn't matter. He keeps healing up quite a bit, and it's only going to get worse when he does end up picking up a Vamp Scepter.
This Ocean Drake is ridiculous. Because Rogu might have to face check this one.
He's also got Warlords. I mean, he's got a lot of inherent sustain now.
Arrow. Whoa! Kure is able to flash out of the way of it. Chains of Corruption do stun up Mikau. However, INTZ make themselves scarce.
That's flash down on Nidalee. Zeitnot is fairly low. They can now continue to do this. I mean, they're going to go straight towards this Cloud Dragon, but honestly, no, I guess they're going to look for the fight.
Oh, whoa, there's the flash from Revolta, gets the point-blank cocoon, but Zeitnot does use the Arcane Shift. True Shot Barrage avoided with the repel as Revolta decides not to go in. Yang for the flank, as there's the headbutt pole onto two big members of Dark Passage, but the shutdown onto Yang. He can't ultimate in time, and Dark Passage are winning the fight. Revolta falls as well, and INTZ do have to get themselves out. No Mantra available for Tokas to give a bigger shield. And the spears are landing. Dark Passage have so much chase as there's the pillar as well. In goes Zeitnot and locks down Jockster. And that is 3-0 for Dark Passage, and they're moving towards Baron.
That is a huge mistake. You saw that Yang wanted to go in, actually pops himself back out, and then Jockster commits to the fight after all the CC has been used. Means that there is no follow-up. They lock down the Echo before he can ultimate. And Baron might be the punishment for their crimes.
Oh, Tokas and Mikau are still trying to poke as Rogu's going down low. This could be a pentakill for Mikau. As the Baron does fall, Zeitnot will fall down as well. But there goes the arrow teleport coming in as Kure wants to pounce his way over. Yang with the home guard boost is looking to try and lock down the Nidalee. Should be able to get over the side. Does he have another dash is the question. Nidalee, a difficult one to chase. He's not going to be able to get the last timeline to Elwind. Going to get stopped. As I believe Tokas loses this 1v1, but Revolta's here, able to lock down the kill. So they do save at least some of the Baron buffs. KOZQ though, Yang's just diving him, does have the ultimate as well, and KOZQ's going to fall down. Ult comes out and Yang easily able to lock it up. So one more Baron remains.
Now, I don't know why KOZQ actually reared his head there. He was honestly the only... I don't care if Kure has Baron buff. KOZQ needs Baron buff. If we had 2 Barons on Dark Passage at that point, that would have been a decent enough trade. That would have been a great look for them. Now I'm not too sure how they're going to actually utilize it, other than perhaps going straight down that mid lane as a team.
Yeah, I think that's the one option, right? You've got this good poke composition. You have Baron on 1 member. You just group up as 5 because teleport. Probably going to be matched here and try and break down mid lane turret. That was really interesting because a big fumble from both teams. I mean, one more time where there is so much ability to get over the back wall. Just get the heck out of the pit. It's about saving the Baron buffs. It's not about fighting this Hurricane Ash. So, huge pickup, honestly, for the INTZ lineup. That could have been so bad, but they turn it back around.
INTZ looking for third dragon of the game, will be the Cloud. Clouds and water so far, as Elder Drake is going to be the next one. So a heck of a lot of regen possible. They're able to pick that one up. Now moving a whole lot faster. Elwind continuing on his split push duty. Once again decided to go for the Titanic Hydra, more of that team fight flavor. But now has his Randy Wins, has his Spirit Visage, feeling pretty comfortable.
And because that we saw Dead Man's Plate coming out of Yang instead of a much more costlier armor item, Elwind, this could be an opening for him to really take over this matchup perhaps. It's going to be interesting to see. He would have to use his ulti to do so, so that would just mean Yang would disengage, and that would be a better fight in a next team fight. So perhaps Dark Passage, now they play towards their top side, they do that. There's a clear answer coming out of INTZ.
I think it's just because the Rift Herald buff is still on Yang. I think as soon as that falls off, they can maybe play towards the matchup. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that there's double dead man plate. In fact, I would really not like Randu and Omen. I think they both go towards GA as their next items that it looks like Revolta is going to. Just because there's not going to be any trick coming out of the 280 carries, so it really isn't that cost efficient.
Whoa! Arrow perfectly blocked there by Rogu to avoid Coscu picking up that CC. Although I don't think the follow-up was necessarily going to be there.
Flash is just not available, so yeah, no, maybe not enough follow-up.
Cal is fairly low, but they're just going to head up to this top tower. He's going to heal up quite a bit. Still
coming in.
Yeah.
But that's actually a really nice rotation out of Dark Passage. One more time, I mean, they head them off at every pass. They're able to get a lot of poke damage down. Now they have a huge priority on the bottom minion wave. In fact, Tokas might have to teleport to get down there, or they're going to lose 2 turrets. This is a gold swinging back into Dark Passage's favor, just because, yeah, you were right. They have the ability to split push, and there goes the teleport. Huge play out of Dark Passage there, being able to stop that top lane shove that Tokas was setting up.
Yeah, utilizing their team composition much better this time around. Last time they had the Trundle, they weren't doing the split push game, as
Macau is going to get caught out. Zeitnot picks up the kill with the help of the True Shot Barrage. The exhaust down onto Yang as well, but he's still able to get worked on. But no, he just gets destroyed as Jockster now with the Unbreakable Will flashes his way out, but he gets stunned by the concussive blows. Headbutts Zeitnot out, as there's the double kill coming in for Coscu, and Dark Passage are just retaking this game somehow after a deficit early.
Yeah, one more time they're able to get the chains down, it looks like, and pick up a free kill onto the 80 carry. Really nicely played out of Coscu in the back end of that team fight. He's massive, 5, 3, and 5. His poke damage is just so obnoxious and so hard to deal with, and they're looking to break open the base.
They will do it. And Rogu hasn't been much of a star throughout the tournament, but that play was really well done. He's able to disengage properly for Coscu. All Coscu needs to do is just get those 4 procs, and really Yang is not able to really pierce the back line here. A lot of struggle coming out of him in this point.
He's been denied his ultimate twice in a row now from any effectiveness, as we are going to see it again. Flash ult comes out from Coscu.
Yeah, and, you know, double summoner spells look like they're up for the Ashe, burnt the heal, but it wasn't enough. Jockster tries to play linebacker, goes in with Yang, but it's not going to be available.
Yeah, that was really solid for Rogu. Not only did he tag down Yang, but he also sets down the ulti, so Jockster's not able to really rejoin his team. It was overall just a bad re-engage from INTZ once Macau got picked.
Yep.
But they played well. Dark Passage recognized that was just an awful fight for INTZ to take, and they just wrestled it back.
Yeah, no, it was an individual play. Coscu flashed in with that ultimate. I mean, it's not as effective as the Ashe arrow for sure, but when you're able to pin down a priority target like the Ashe in response, and the ultimate wasn't available for Macau. Remember, he just shot it previously into Rogu. Was not a good news story. Now Super Creeps streaming down mid lane. Trundle's just gone back and picked up pretty much a pure GA. This game becomes difficult to win.
Yeah, this has been a very difficult game for Macau specifically. From the very start, he's been getting poked out. This time, it's actually meaning quite a bit. I mean, he got engaged last time, but this time he's slowly regenning, but he needs to really hide behind his back line or front line.
Dark Passage positioning themselves once again around the Baron. Chains of Corruption are used as Revolta goes in for the engage. Yang gets down the parallel convergence as Rogu might have been caught out, stands behind the rest of his team as now Dark Passage looking to turn it once again. Good pillar from Elwind. Gets Jockster out of position. He will get taken down. Revolta's too low to continue fighting. The spear's going to thread through. The Q's not quite there as Macau has to flash. Good time winder out there from Yang to get the slow in, but INTZ are falling down so low. Elwind looking for Tokas, who flashes over the wall with the Inspire movement speed helping him stay alive. INTZ get out with a scruff of their necks. Jockster, the only casualty.
Yeah, so one still falls down and they lose control over their jungle again. Really Dark Passage, due to the lack of damage on INTZ's lineup, is starting to take over this game, and they have started up the Baron straight away.
And there's absolutely no way for Jockster or INTZ in general to get a team fight going their way. They have to deal with Trundle Pillar and the Braum ulti.
Well, there's a parallel convergence as Yang ults himself back out once again. Zeitnot in trouble. Good shield comes in, but Macau's able to grab the kill. Instant exhaust onto the Ashe, and the piercing arrow doing so much work as Yang wants to find the shield, doesn't get it onto himself, but they stop the Baron for the moment.
But Baron, Super Creeps are in the base. Someone has to go back. Yang has teleport, so it's most likely going to be him. Good job out of INTZ stopping some of that aggression out of Dark Passage. And it was because one more time, Zeitnot went aggressive. Just don't go aggressive. Allow, you know, your huge Trundle, your huge Braum to sit there and absorb that damage for you. You don't have to make these superstar plays, and he gets bursted out by the Karma.
I do want to give credit to Dark Passage for then disengaging off the Baron. They hadn't done that the last couple of times.
Baron was still slapping them in the back.
Yeah, it was not doing so
But at
hot.
least then they didn't, you know, get this fight a little bit back and then go straight back to the Baron, which they have done.
Dark Passage has so much control here, and they can really continue it. That's one blue trinket. That's actually fairly strong.
Oh, Karay got hit.
Yeah, Arrow is going to land teleport immediately in response there, as well as the headbutt pulverize does come in. Dark Passage now trying to get out of the way as Macau able to get free damage in the backline. May have moved too close to Elwin there, but the Braum, is the door going to be enough as Elwin's going to get taken down? That is going to be the GA popped. And now Tokka's getting poked. Look at these piercing arrows as Zeitnot gets over the side. Yang's going to fall. And this Varus is doing so much work in the backline in what looked like an INTZ fight to win.
Yeah, it certainly did, but they turn it back on its head, and the difference is the fact that the top laner doesn't have GA on INTZ's lineup. They have to re-engage here.
Well, Rogu might get taken down as Macau is able to grab that kill. Spears still flying through left, right, and center. As Elwin throws down the pillar to disengage, and Dark Passage will now have the trade evened out.
They should be expecting that. They should look towards the fight. They gave away Rogu in that entire ordeal simply because they didn't know if they wanted to take the fight or not. So right now, that's fantastic coming out of Dark Passage. Really, Elwin's pillar was amazing, able to nail down Yang because Yang was coming in for a TP flank, but took a lot longer, so it gave the Dark Passage's front back line a lot more ability to just kite back throughout the entire portion of it. So right now, yeah, credit due to Dark Passage's front line. That's really Rogu and Elwin allowing these team fights to go in their favor.
But one more time, I want to say that Rogu and Elwin are doing so much heavy lifting for members that should not be getting caught out. Karay eats an Ash Arrow. I mean, Zeitnot goes aggressive. That time it was much more tempered aggression. He was able to pick up the kill when he challenged Yang to that one-on-one duel. But all in all, I mean, they have two huge frontliners that they should just be hiding behind and putting down all of this poke damage. You don't need to take the one-on-one duels. You're not looking to kill people. You're looking to chip them out and get priority around the map.
Oh, INTZ going for it once again. Chains of Corruption come down. Kosku able to get himself out of the way of the Cocoon. That was barely grazed his backside there, I believe, as True Shot Barrage is able to soften up this INTZ roster. Inspire onto Jockster, gets him sped up. Cow is able to make his way out.
It's a simple point of all-in versus just the disengaged sustained damage. If Dark Passage do not get demolished in the initial all-in, if Alistar's initial headbutt Palvin ulti fizzles out, then you are going to get chased down and completely demolished. So right now, the fact that Dark Passage have complete control of this Baron area, that one rogue ward is doing a lot of work for INTZ. It needs to get killed down. There we go. So right now, they have a lot to be afraid of.
They've still got double Hawk Shot that comes out of the Ash. You know, they've got a couple of blue trinkets that are going to come back off cooldown, so they have ways to spot this out. There's the first one. So really, the biggest thing is that Dark Passage can't start up the Baron, because as soon as they do, the Inspire comes out and they just chase them down, and the Baron Pit is the last area you want to be against this composition. So they're trying to bait it more than anything. That means that they're starting to lose a little bit of priority on the map.
Well, INTZ once again going for the hard engage. There's the arrow landing as Elwin gets out of the way of the parallel convergence. Good ultimate over to the side there from Rogu for the disengage. As Revolta blocks the spear for his AD carry. That's what we like to see. Selfless play out of the jungler. Dark Passage still fine.
A lot of poke coming out of INTZ, and they really were able to burn Ashe ulti. So right now, Dark Passage is in a better position. But once again, they're going to look.
Here we go. They're looking for it.
Yep,
no wards available, and two members went bottom. They're going to be able to pick this one up most likely. Although disengage nice and quick.
Yeah, immediately, as the Hawkshot does fly over.
That was one of the shortest teleports. I mean, a level 6 rank 1 Rise ulti would have done something similar.
If only they had one.
For Tokka's there. That was really short.
Oh dear. Well, tower will fall on the bottom side of the map, thanks to Elwind mostly, but the minions able to take it down in the end as Yang a little bit late to try and clear that one out. Dark Passage's pressure around this Baron pit paying dividends. As CosQ unable to find the full queue.
I respected that one.
Thank you. Elwin finds himself a pink ward. And that is going to be Elder Drake at least looked at here by the Trundle. See whether anyone is going to head towards that side of the map. It's been a lot of Baron focus so far. Haven't seen much of the Elder Drake, but a difficult one to take down.
Yeah, well, INTZ just have no priority, and Dark Passage really couldn't care less about the Elder Drake, so would be interested to see if we get any play towards that side of the map.
Yeah, the worst decision
Hey, they got a ward down. Nice.
We've seen throughout the entire season a lot of people decide to trade Elder Dragon for Baron. That would be the worst trade INTZ could go for.
Well, Elwin, bit of a love tap here onto Jockster. Headbutts him out of the way. Not sure what that volley was doing, but it was just passing through.
Overall, I got a question on the Alistair pick. The option for Karma to go support was available. They ended up going for the Alistair pick when Trundle was on the was out in the field and Braum was option as well. So there's so much disengage, so much awkward team fighting coming out of this that there's a lot of pressure on Jockster to really play it through properly.
I mean, they picked it when both of them were already locked in. It was their last pick, I believe.
Yeah,
they knew what was going on.
And Varus was the only thing picked after it.
That's true.
Which, you know, arguably makes Alistair's case better because he's one of the mobile carries. But yeah, you're right. It's very hard for him to get in right now. He can't be the primary form of engage. Has to be the secondary follow-up.
Because we've seen a few times him try and go on in alone. Or at least with him just being the primary engage, and every single time it happens, his ult will fizzle, the pillar will come down, Braum ult will stop his disengage entirely, and he just dies off for it.
And this is one of the times that I actually really think that Elwin needs to be careful, because if the teleports get stopped and it means that Elwin and Yang don't join the fight, I think it is in INTZ's favor to keep him away, because, you know, the engage is going to be there, and the Alistair that you're talking about that is being shut down so hard just from Trundle pillars is going to be able to get those big multiple man knockups. So,
speaking of Alistair, CosQ, whoa, okay, decides not to go for it.
Yeah, there's no one else on his screen.
Normally when you see the support running around in the enemy jungle, you think there's someone close by, but just notices the Varus and gets out of the way. True Shot Barrage is there, and there's the pick onto Rogu. They destroy the Braum. INTZ not punished for it.
Great pick coming out of INTZ. They recognize that top side of the map is not in their control at all, so they play towards Elder Drake, something that we said they probably won't be able to do, but they do it because they guarantee there is no vision and then get the pick they're looking for.
There's Elder Drake going down extraordinarily fast there as well. They want to kill it before the poke can come in. It's Yang getting rid of the jungler. They do lock down the big dragon as Tockers shields himself up. Yang has to ult, but he has bought time for his team. They can go for the fight now as well. Remember, it's a 4v5 as Rogu is still dead. INTZ grab one against the flow, and the gold is completely even here at 45 minutes.
And that was such a fat wave coming into the top lane, too.
PH fat?
PH fat. PH and an F. We're just adding both words because at this point in the game, they had no control. INTZ had zero control into the Baron side, and on top of that, the waves were just not working in their favor. They could not pick up team fights, but that was an amazing set. They were able to actually set the pace, set the environment, force the fight around Dragon, so it didn't have to be on Dark Passage's terms. And on top of that, they were able to do it simply because the massive wave coming up to that top lane. That was such a large denial.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I mean, at the same time, we keep singing their praises. What did it get them? Nothing. It legitimately got them. Well, it's gone now. Pretty much halfway through. I mean, both teams have recalled. That's going to be the end of the Elder Drake buff. Yeah. It got them back a little bit of vision around the Baron. But, you know, right now I would say Dark Passage is probably in the area to be able to regain control of that as well.
Yeah, they have enough time on that Elder Dragon to at least gain control of one type. Probably going to be this red side jungle. But they're just walking around. But it looks like they're just going to go for this.
They're going to start it up. That is such a brave call here due to all the poke.
And there is even a ward in the back of this pit at the same time. The teleport comes down from Elwin, wants to get himself in there as INTZ go over the wall. Rogu throws down the ultimate. Lots of CC as there's the back line gained by Elwin. Tockers has to be careful as there's the flash. The Trundle's trying to be dealt with, but he's not. The GA is popped, but he's done his job. Taken down the Karma. Elwin will fall, so it's a 1-for-1 so far.
INTZ will see whether they can find anything more as Dark Passage had gone down low.
They need to be really careful because Yang has teleport available and there are a lot of wards behind them. So if they do get the recall here as well as a re-engage, they can maybe look for a continued fight. Although the fact that, you know, the Alistar went back, not really going to help that cause.
Yeah, well, you can see Yang still waiting for that home guard teleport opportunity.
They're just staggering
There he goes.
position. They're able to hold the position, meanwhile getting the actual backs off. TP coming in from Echo.
Yeah, the flank is going to come in as Kirei trying to get himself in position. There's the parallel convergence, though. He's looking for the stuns. Kirei going down low. Roku throws down the shield, but it's not quite enough. And Zeitnot, he's kiting as best he can, but the double kill comes in from Revolta. Zeitnot kiting it. He's doing a good job so far, but in goes Yang, and it's Macau that's able to grab the kill. Unbreakable Will somehow saves Jockster for the moment. Triumphant Roy, he's going to need it.
Oh, they better not be going towards Baron. This would be a poor decision. Koski still has enough for about 3 more arrows.
Revolta's already there as Yang.
Oh,
the arrow lands, but the cleanse is still there. Yang knows that he has to stay over here, make sure there's not going to be any piercing arrows still, and that is going to be it. Revolta locks down the Baron, and INTZ finally take back control of this game.
And one more time, INTZ really do flirt with danger there, but the Ash Arrow was back off cooldown, able to nail the mid laner without the cleanse, not willing to challenge Yang to the duel. So they do pick up the Baron. I believe it's on all of their members nearly. This is really do or die time now for Dark Passage because you feel that this game has gone for so long, 50 minutes. Back and forward. If you lose this game, it is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Especially when they should have the scaling.
And they've got 6 items on everyone. I mean, if you're talking about scaling, you're scaled. You ain't going to scale more than this.
Yeah, biggest question now is Ash did end up buying out that Bloodthirster. So at this point in the game, the poke that's coming down out of Zeitnot and Kozq and Kirei can be healed up quite well. So Dark Passage are in a point where if they're going to be going for a fight, they have to stick to them. They can't allow them to disengage, or INTZ will be able to go in and out of Fog of War, coming back with a lot of healing coming up.
Yeah, well, Guardian Angel still on cooldown here for Elwind, who's got 6 items himself. Still 30 CS in the lead. The Trundle doing very, very well. Doesn't really mean as much as you can hear the crowd completely behind the locals. Dark Passage have been in this position before. They are no strangers. The wildcard as the arrow comes in, lands onto Kozq as there's a parallel convergence as well. Massive stun onto 3 as Kozq is going to evaporate. 2 kills already for INTZ as the inner turret falls down. They're looking to try and create more here as well. Just ridiculous. The inhibitor did fall down.
And they got another 2 kills. So in the end, INTZ going to be able to pick up this game under the cover of Night Atlas.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say.
Yep.
Well, Jockster still looking for more as Revolta goes up into the sky. Nexus turret, first one falls down. Baron buff minions, Spiderlings there as well. Mantra to Inspire, and that is going to be the open Nexus. INTZ take down game number 3. You saw the elation in the player cams. This team now brings it to match point in this incredibly close set so far.
Yeah, that was such an amazing early game. Coming out of Dark Passage specifically, they were able to take control, and it just didn't work out. They didn't know how to utilize their control, if they should go all in on the Baron, or maybe try and go for a pick, but it was difficult for them to get that pick going for them. And so INTZ took that time, were able to then play towards that Elder Dragon that was coming up. And it worked out really well for them.
Yeah, really back and forward. I mean, we saw this double kill at the very start of the game. It got a lot of control for the INTZ lineup. I mean, people aren't even level 6 really at this stage of the game. Double kill for Revolta got him snowballing in the right direction. But you're right, they got everything back with this poke siege comp and then just couldn't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, but the very, very beginning, as you said, INTZ really smart in how they utilized Elise, the Elise pressure. There was a lot of questions on how Elise would really work out because really could pressure the lanes, so she pressured the dragon, and that's all really she wanted to do. And then, of course, that dive went through. And so INTZ's adaptation in between games have been phenomenal.
Yeah. And the massive pick as well just before that dragon take, the fact that they utilized where there was no vision, grabbed the pick, grabbed the dragon, very decisive. INTZ really looking like their smart play is pairing up with good execution towards the end of that game. There were still the question marks around the mid-game, though.
I wouldn't say execution.
I mean, in that one section
exactly.
of play.
But then, of course, this is one of the bigger questions because once they went in a little bit too hard, then their composition was so difficult to actually go in for. Dark Passage really came back into the game simply based off of Alistair's not going to be able to go in as a primary engage. Elise went in and didn't work out for her. So overall, they dropped the ball a bit, but they were able to take it back.
Yeah, that's what it really was all about, how hard it was to get onto that composition and the fact that they didn't have enough damage to blow someone up once they did. The kite back just continually came back out from the Echo, from the Varus, and because they weren't getting one shot, I mean, unless Ash was really in the front line dishing out that damage, you know, Karma, Echo, there's just like that little bit less of like 20% damage that is missing from that, and they were like using the cleansers, being able to kite back. So I think that was one of those games that INTZ had to be frame perfect on layering their CC. Otherwise, it was going against them when we saw fight after fight where that was happening. I mean, these big arrows, these big spears, and the annoying Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal continuing to chase you down, but they got it right that one time they needed to and pulled the trigger.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and honestly, one big point was that this was the first game I've seen Macau really not have much space to work with because the rest of his lineup was diving into the back line, and so he didn't really have much disengage, much space to move with, so for the predominant part of the early game, he was either getting poked out or he was getting picked out entirely. And so near the end of the game, he got up his Bloodthirster, his picks were starting to work. Of course, the team was really starting to gel together at that point, and they were able to take the game.
Yeah, it was nicely played by him in the end, but still some question marks as it is set point.